Hey, what's up? This is Andre Bueno. What I want to talk today about is how you can ultimately go and create massive amounts of change and become consistent in those results, and how understanding the structure of how that kind of process works can be used towards your benefit. So what we want to first understand is how human beings go and ultimately create change. Well, that process happens either through inspiration, because you become so inspired and compelled towards running towards a certain situation or working towards a certain goal, or through desperation, where you become so repulsed that you don't want to even be part of a certain situation, that you kind of reject it and run away from it. And at certain points in time, you've used either one of these motivating factors to do a massive change, whether it's been, lose 20 pounds or, save $1,000, like whatever has been, I guess, kind of part of your reality. You've used one of these motivating factors to ultimately create this overnight change that's kind of happened. Well, what I want to kind of understand and want to kind of, I guess, explain is how you can ultimately start doing this and using this as of today. And what we want to ultimately do is be able to kind of break down exactly how we kind of got to where we're at and what our reality is. So the acronym that we're using is the CHAD method. So CHAD being our current reality is the result of the habits that we've kind of taken over time. And these habits that have kind of solidified and have shaped our reality are really a result of the actions that we've kind of taken on a consistent basis. And these actions are really, I guess, kind of a byproduct of the certain decisions that we've kind of had to kind of like employ throughout this whole process. The certain decisions that you've made have kind of propelled you or spiraled you upward or downward, away or towards your ultimate goal. And the more consistent and the more aligned that you are in that process, the better it is for you to ultimately getting to where you want to get to. Now, how do you ultimately create that decision? Well, what you need to do is you need to use your brain. And what I mean is you need to use your reticular activating system. What our RAS really does is it learns to filter certain sensory information. So take right now, for example, as we're kind of shooting this, you have cars kind of zipping by. You have a lot of kind of different things that are kind of going on. You have people kind of watching us. But what I'm really focused on is delivering the content. And the end goal is, since I know that I want to deliver the content and I want to be able to kind of get it in a way that you're ultimately able to kind of take advantage of it, I can't be focused on all these different things. And that's the kind of same mindset that you want to have when you're kind of striving towards your goal. Another thing to kind of take in consideration is the way you kind of position these questions, the way you kind of position, I guess, your RAS, and you kind of help guide it towards this process, is by asking it good questions and having certain things that kind of push it in a certain direction. What you need to understand is that your RAS has a self-serving bias. So whatever you kind of ask it or whatever you kind of put in front of it is just going to find more reasons as to why that reigns true. So thinking about kind of like how all this can kind of be used in your favor. Let's say you want to be more consistent with going to the gym, exercising. What you'd start with is you'd start, kind of looking at that ecosystem, right? We talked about that in our last video where you start eating good nutrients, start exercising, getting good amounts of rest. And as you have all those three kind of factors going in and kind of playing off of each other, what you end up doing is you start creating this kind of macro momentum. And taking that a step further, what this macro momentum really is you start seeing little small results, little small changes, right? Let's say you lost a pound. Let's say you're able to lift 5 pounds heavier. These little things that register in your brain, you kind of can get a conclusion off of that of like, oh, well, I'm losing weight. I'm actually getting a result from all these different things that I've been doing. And because of that, it starts creating this kind of like cycle where you start losing weight, you see that you're losing weight, you feel really good, then you start telling yourself that. And you start creating this self-talk, which is ultimately shoved into your RAS. Your RAS gets kind of like, starts filtering out all these other little elements, and it starts kind of trying to propel you down this path to get you towards your ultimate goal. And As you kind of think about that, just as a quick recap, right? You start asking good questions. You start shaping your reality in a way that your RES is kind of congruent and aligned to where you want to get to. That right there and that decision ultimately results in the actions that you start taking on a day-to-day basis. These actions start kind of compounding itself and becoming a habit, and then your habit ultimately creates your current reality.